Hello lads, and welcome to this video. Today we're talking about workload in Oxford. It's something which I get asked quite a lot. How much work do you have to do? How much pressure is there? Is it actually a lot of work? Is it manageable? Well, today we're going to be talking about that. Of course, this is dependent on your course. I do philosophy and theology, and also based on your tutors as well. Each tutor has a different style. We are just leaving Westgate right now. I'll try not to get run over by a bus. The strange thing about this road is that the buses do go on this pedestrian path, so it's one of those strange things, but it's one of those things. And let's get right into it. There's a few things I want to talk about. First about the lectures, then about the class, and then about the tutorials, and say how those can differ and also how they might apply to your situation. So first of all, let's talk about lectures. Well, lectures definitely depend on your course and of course the modules you choose to take. For example, if you're doing philosophy and theology, I was able to choose different modules for my theology. So instead of doing only general philosophy and introduction to logic, which are necessary, the theology section allows you to choose between a few different options like religions and religions, introduction to the study of the Bible, Hebrew, Greek, and all these different courses. So depending on the module you choose, you're going to get a different set of lectures and you're going to get a different set of classes as well. For example, for the introduction to the study of the Bible, I have two lectures I have to attend each week. One is introduction to the Hebrew Bible and one's introduction to the New Testament. However, people who do Greek or do Hebrew might have individual language classes that they have to attend, which have, of course, own worksheets and things which go along with it. So it really depends on what modules you do, which will dictate how many kind of activities you need to do or how many lectures you have. But on average, you can expect 3 or 4 lectures per course that you're doing. Each module normally will have 1 lecture, some will have 2, most of them just have 1 really. So that's something you're thinking about. Of course, sometimes you might need to do lectures of a module you're doing later. For example, I have to sit Gen philosophy lecture, which is general philosophy, moral philosophy, introduction to logic, and is there an actual logic lecture? But essentially what I'm trying to say is that there is going to be quite nice, beautiful church. These bells do sound quite often, but essentially what I'm trying to say is that each individual course, some of these topics I'm not studying right now with my tutorials. For example, my tutorial right now is general philosophy, and I have introduction to logic classes, but I have to attend moral philosophy lectures just because those wouldn't be repeated and you want to attend those as well. So as a result, you can be expecting at least 1 lecture per module you're doing, and expect different terms to have different schedules of lectures because each college are doing different things, and as a result you want to kind of they're trying to match it up and just give you everything, and you want to attend most of them because they normally wouldn't repeat until next year. And of course, if you're going to sit till next year to take it, you're going to have next year's lectures to attend as well, so you can expect quite a lot of lectures to attend. Now of course the lectures are attended in the examination school. The examination school was initially built to host exams. I do not know what on earth is going on, but I suppose I'm not sure where this sound is coming from, but essentially what's going on is that essentially your lectures are taken in examination schools. Examination schools are buildings built for exams initially, but they have now been converted to be non-examination schools. They're now there are exams, but that's once a year. They have lectures hosted there instead. It's really beautiful, so it's a really nice place to do. Now that we've talked about lectures, we are indeed going to talk a bit about our classes. Now, of course, classes are something which is very fascinating. Classes are kind of like what you expect in high school, You basically have a group of 6-7 people doing a course based on your pretty decent music, but you have a course of 6 or 7 people doing something together. You'll have a professor, someone to talk you through the content. So oftentimes these will be dependent on what courses, modules you're taking. But of course, that's normally going to follow maybe a lecture series and they want to develop it further. Or maybe the lecture series goes through things really quickly. For example, if you're doing philosophy, you're going to have an introduction to logic course, as I've said. And you're going to be following a textbook by Volker Hallerbach called The Logic Manual. And of course, there's 8 lectures, and then there's 8 chapters. He's going through a chapter, and that's just really, really tight. So as a result, they're going to need extra classes to kind of develop on that content, and as a result, we have extra logic classes as well on the side. So that's something you want to think about of you having to prepare for. So it can be a bit strenuous at times, but that is about the classes. Now, of course, if you have language as well, that could be the case as well. Now, after that, you can think a bit about, what else do we actually have? Well, of course, it's the tutorials, and tutorials are the core, the reason why you're coming to Oxford. It's an hour a week. We're talking to a professor Sometimes the essay that you need to do for the tutorial is meant to be read during the tutorial, and sometimes it's meant to be read outside of the tutorial or submitted a day before, and that's dependent on your tutorial tutor, and you will have to kind of judge about that. Now we're going to do a bit of a detour and explore a bit of Oxford while we are indeed talking. Now, of course, developing upon that idea, finally, if you ask me, well, how is the workload like? Well, it really depends on how well you have control over the situation, because at the end of the day, if you are really ahead of yourself and you're already ahead of schedule and you have everything under control, then of course you will find it a bit more easy. But at the same time, sometimes if you have other things to do, you might feel a bit more rushed or a bit more pressured to do things a bit quicker, and that could be a shame depending on where you are coming from, and that's something you definitely want to make sure you have control over, because at the end of the day, there is going to be a lot of things to do, and if you're struggling with your workload, then that's something you might want to watch out for. If you're finding high school difficult, then most likely you'll find Oxford very difficult as well. But if you're really wanting to push yourself, do something that you really love, then well, maybe Oxford is the right place for you. So that's my thoughts about workload. Of course, if you have any other questions in mind, then feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'll happily answer those. If there's any places in Oxford that you'll want me to explore with you guys, bring you around or do a study with me video there, then feel free to let me know in the comments. Like always, stay safe, my friends. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it helpful. Stay safe. See you soon. Thanks for watching, and goodbye. I'll see you next one.